Hello, I've been talking about the 12 houses in astrology and what they mean. I also try to be not going into the very complexities of things, but my view is to explain about each house. So we come to a very important house, which is the 7th house. I've talked about the 6th house, so now I'm going to talk about the 7th house. What does the 7th house depict? 7th house is opposite the 1st house. 1st house is self, and 7th house therefore depicts all the people who are sitting in front of you. That is the people, the enemies, the society, everything which is opposite to you, which is depicted by 1st house, is actually told by 7th house. So 7th house deals with everything which is opposite to you, which you have to deal with. So therefore it becomes a very important house for business, because in business you have to deal with others if you have to make money. It also becomes a very important house in service, because in service you have to deal with others in one way or the other. Though I've told you 6th house is the house for service, 7th house is the house for business, because primarily for business, because you're dealing with others. But today in the current scene of things, you have a mix where a person is on a consultancy kind of a thing, where a person in higher brackets, they get bonuses. Even in the lower brackets in sales, etc., the bonus component is very high. So there the 7th house along with the 6th house starts playing a very important role. So 7th house is for dealing with others. It is about business. It's about making an entrepreneur. The most important thing 7th house is, because it's dealing with this somebody opposite you, it is also the house of marriage, because in marriage you're dealing with the opposite sex. So both for husband and for wife, it is an important house. For a man and a woman, 7th house is important because it depicts marriage. So just to again repeat, 7th house is for business, 7th house is for marriage. 7th is also house for open enemies, the people who come to you and say, I'm your enemy, fight it out, I am there, defy you. So it also depicts the open enemies, or the enemies who confront you, the person who knows your enemy and you have to deal with. So these are the gamut of activities which 7th house deals with. Now here I want to relate to the 6th house and the 5th house, because 6th house is 12th from 7th. It is the negation of the 7th house. So therefore when you are doing business, you have the person who is opposite you, you have to deal with that person. Now to deal with that person, you have to defeat that person. To defeat that person, 6th house becomes a very important house. That is, the 6th house depicts with respect to 7th house that whether can you defeat the person whom you are dealing with. So when you defeat a person you're dealing with, you make gains. So 7th house, uske comparatively what happens is 6th house becomes a very important house for the 7th house for business. Now when you take the 5th house, 5th house is 11th to 7th. That is, your business partner or the person whom you're dealing with or you're in business, he will gain from you. Now that is not good. If your partner gains from you, or anybody whom you're dealing with gains from you, that will not, he makes more profits from you, that means you make a loss. So 5th house is not a very important house. 5th house is a house which actually makes your business partner or the person whom you are in partnership with or the others to gain from you. So when you are doing business, if the other person will gains from you more, then you lose. So therefore 5th house is not a very important house. As I explained to you when I was telling the video of the 5th house, it is a house which actually, when it gets related to 7th house in matters of business, it will not make you to gain, you will lose. But 6th house, when it gets related to 7th house, because it is 12th from 7th, you can deal with the opponent properly and make profits out of him. So this is what you have to understand, that the 5th house may be a very good house, a Trikon house, but when it is related to a Kendra house for 7th house, for business matters, it is not good. But when we take love, marriage and relationship, where you want your wife to gain, where you want your spouse to be happy, where you want the romance to flourish, where you want love to increase, then this 7th house, when related to 5th house, it flourishes those things. It becomes a good house. For matters of love, relationship, sex, etc., 5th house becomes a very good house. But for matters of business, dealing with the partnership, making money out of others, the 5th house is a negative house. So this is how one has to see that when 7th house gets correlated to the 5th house in a strong way, it may make you a loser in business but a gainer in love, relationship and other matters. 7th house, similarly, when 7th house gets related to 6th house, it will make a gainer in business and entrepreneurship and so many other things, but you will lose as far as your marriage is concerned. It negates marriage. So the same house which gives you success in business or other things may negate your marriage, but it is not black and white. We have to see the strength of the house, we have to see the degree of the planets, we have to see the D charts. A whole lot of things have to be seen before you come to a conclusion. Similarly, the other planet, the malefic and the benefic planets, they give you certain good things, positive aspects in the 7th house, and negative aspects in the for certain other things. And also here, it won't be out of context if I tell you that the malefics promote material things and the benefics promote the things which are emotional and finer. So you have to, when they are in the houses, they promote. There's Saturn in the 7th house may promote business, may promote things like which are material, which cannot be seen, but may not be good for your married life. So this is what is a very kind of a very thing which I'm trying to tell you in a row and column kind of a thing, a matrix kind of a thing, that malefics promote the material things and the benefic promotes the finer emotional things. So now I conclude in the 7th house, a very important house, opposite to your 1st house. It deals with people, it is about business, it is about entrepreneurship, it is about, even it to some extent it talks about it is about law, because when you're dealing with others and when it gets related to 9th house, it is also deals with law and justice, it deals with a marriage, it deals with relationship, and it deals with open enemies. So, and I've also told you a very complex thing as to how the 6th house promotes entrepreneurship and business, but it negates your marital life. So everything has to be seen in a perspective. Astrology is not wrong. It is we astrologers who lack in understanding astrology, and perhaps all of us need a lot of intuition and a lot of dharma to practice astrology, which is lacking, and lacks in my case also. Therefore, I would like to end now the video on the 7th house. I hope it's an important house, bringing clarity to you. I'm also correlating things with the other houses, so that when you do a little predictive astrology, or when you visit an astrologer yourself, you know what you are asking and what is he talking. So with this, I'd like to end this video on the 7th house. Please, if you want to know more about astrology, read my books, which is available with Sagar Publications. Go to my site and subscribe to this channel. Thanks and bye for now. In the next video, we'll talk about the 8th house.